Hello and welcome back. So this is kind of what I wanted to do with the Phalaenopsis that we recently saw the repot of, that I thought I was just going to move her over. Well, I did double check. She's only been in this setup since January, so media should still be good. I shouldn't have to do a full repot. The idea of just moving an orchid from where it is kind of into the center, I'm going to try to just take out half of the media and then just move her over and then fill her back in. Now I did grab my small bark, my moss, and my little spray bottle here just in case I do need some extra. Speaking of the spray bottle, if you don't have this, this is a life changer. I ordered it, I don't know, a few months ago off of Amazon, but let me show you the cool thing about it. So it is battery operated. It's got this little plug in here where you can charge it, and this thing lasts for, I've only charged it once since I've got it, and I know I've had it for at least 4 months. But what you do is just hold this button and then it comes on and it just sprays, and then if you push it again it'll come off, push it to spray. This has been a life changer for me, especially for the girls outside if I just want to spray the roots and kind of give them a little mist in the middle of the day, or like before I leave in the morning, kind of check and see if they need water. It also has this adjustable, you can make a mist spray or a strong spray, whatever you want to do. So if you're a mister and you like to mist your orchids, this is a life changer. Not sponsored or anything, but this, I'm telling you, this has probably been the best purchase I've done for orchids. Now back to what we're doing here. So I did get my little bowl here, which now that I've got all the, oh, you know what? I can just put that water in the moss, haha, and let the moss absorb it. It is not going to hurt anything. There we go. I was like, where am I going to put all this water? So I am going to squeeze the edge of the pot just to kind of loosen any roots that are up against it, just like you would a regular repot. And then, because it is a bark and moss mix, I'm not real worried about keeping things separated. I'm going to hold the plant while I shake off the majority. And there are those roots I was telling you guys about. So nice, lovely root system there. And again, the idea is to move her. So what I will do is just take the media out around if I can. Now, I may end up having to take her all the way out, but the idea is not to do that. So all I'm doing is just taking it out, just gently, being mindful of those roots. And it does look like I'm gonna have to take her all the way out because of the way those roots are. Do you see? So see how those roots are going kind of straight, and the Sharry Baby roots are a little firm. Even though they're wet, they're not as flexible. They kind of have a more firm texture to them, and I don't want to bend them too much. So let's try a different thing. So another thing that I do is, see if I can do this well and show you guys all at the same time. Let me raise the camera up just a little bit since it is going to be kind of up. There we go. And if you notice I have a sweatshirt on, it's because it is 60-something degrees outside, and I still like to keep my windows open, and Trish is cold at 75 degrees. So I do have my sweatshirt on today. It's not cold in Colorado to the natives and those who have acclimated. You would think after 6 years I'd be acclimated, but I'm not. I am going to go ahead and take this stake out, though, for right now. I'm going to leave the strap on there in case I do need to stake her once we're done. But what I'm going to do is that a new growth? No, okay, that's from that bulb. But I'm going to take her by the biggest bulb in the center. I'm just going to kind of bring her out a little bit like this. And then that will help me move the media a little bit better from inside to get her to move over. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to work on trying to loosen off this side only, so I'm not having to do a full repot. Once I'm done, we'll see what we've got back, and I'll show you how I'm going to put her back in. Be right back. Okay, this actually ended up coming off a little easier than I thought it was going to initially. Once I started, it just started really falling off. But I'm just kind of teasing off this side of the media. Again, I'm not trying to do a full repot. ideally. That's the plan. So now I should be able to, let's see, get her in kind of in the middle here. Let's be mindful of the roots so we don't break them. And there we are. Oh, back in there. And just gently let her kind of guide her way back in. But now she is more centralized in the pot to allow for multiple directions of growth, and where I don't have to repot her again, you know, in a couple of months because these growths have taken over the pot. So now I'll just take the media that I've already got here, and if I can get her in the pot the way I want her, because she is still kind of on the edge there. There we go. So do you see how I did that? And then we'll just fill her in. So let me just do this. Now, because she does have all of those lovely roots, I have my little bamboo skewer that I'm going to use to get her media back in between all those lovely roots without crashing them with my fingers. So this is going to take a little bit of time because I am going to do it slowly and gently. And again, this should not disturb her too much, seeing as it is all the same media, so she's not having to adjust to a new climate or anything like that. And from there, she should continue. Now, I like to squeeze the pot, again, to kind of get around all of those roots, and so that I'm sure to get into the middle portion that's where the media was taken out. So I will continue doing this and come back once we are completed. Now, one of the things you want to remember when you are trying to reposition pot, that's kind of what I call this, is to make sure that as you're filling in one side, it's not bearing over to the, you know, it goes back to where you originally had it. Let's just put it that way, where one side of the plant is too close to the edge where you're going to end up having to do a repot later. So that's one of the things you want to work out for. So I like to work in a circle and just kind of do it all the way around and just take my time doing it. So back to this. Now that it's more up at the top, I'm not too worried about the pressing or getting the media in kind of where I want it with my hand. And then I will use my bamboo skewer again and keep doing that until it is nice and snug as a bug, because as we know, Oncidiums do not like a lot of air pockets like our Cattleyas and Dendrobiums and the bigger rooted orchids. And then just kind of going around the edge, just kind of watching where the roots are, making sure I'm not doing too much. I'm sure there are some roots that are getting damaged, but I'm trying to minimize that as best as possible. There's always going to be some kind of collateral when you're doing any kind of repot. Sometimes it's hard to get in and do what I want to do just because of the position of the plant being in a low. Let me know if you do this with your plants. Like, do you ever do a reposition pot? Not necessarily a full repot, but just where you take the media out, reposition your orchid, and then basically just put it right back in. So like I said, this isn't an actual repot, it's more of a reposition pot. And then back here where I have this older bulb, I'm just going to put some just bark there, because no point in having any moss or anything back there, as it's an older bulb. Now, it could, because of this, ignite it to start over, and if it does, we have the room. So that is the whole idea of these, is to get the room. And yes, I know I just got that new potting tray mat thing. Well, guess who forgot she had it until I went to go get stuff off of the towel I have down here. All right, so now I see an air pocket right down here. So I'm going to try to get some of that media to go down into there, and at the same time not damage any of those nice, beautiful roots we have in there. So let's go on the outside of the pot. There we go. And we're just gonna slide stuff around in there. And I am squeezing so that the pot is away, kind of buckled out, so that it allows it to go down better, so I'm not having to do too much of the pressing. The media is kind of falling in there on its own. That's my plan. All right, it's a little bit better. There's still a little bit of an air pocket, but not too much, not as big as it was. Here, I'll show you. So we have some more media down in there. It's not as bad. Still a little bit. Little air pockets are good, big air pockets, not so much. All right. And then just finish kind of spreading this around. And since I see a little sheath there, we'll leave it alone. I'm not going to mess with her. I was going to mess with the little sheath I just saw, but I'm going to leave her alone. Now I am pressing a little bit. It looks like I'm pressing hard, but I'm not. I'm just kind of pressing it, kind of tighten around the edge there. And let's see. When I move her up, you know what? We are not going to need that stake, so I am just going to top it off with just some fresh bark, dry bark, just because this is mixed with some moss in there, and I don't want the moss on the top and cause any molding or anything. All right, well, this is the last step, and that was very quick, very simple. Okay, and then I'll just spread it around. I also use the bark to kind of help position her and hold her kind of where she needs to go as well. But there we are. There is the straighten pot. Let's call it that. I'm gonna create a new phrase. Straighten pot on Miss Lady number 2, and now she will sit on the bench a little bit better because I can put her closer to the back so she's not all wanky wank. All right, guys, well, I appreciate you coming over and stopping by for a visit. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, that would be amazing. Helps me out, doesn't cost you anything. And I hope you decide to come back if this is your first time. For those of you who come frequently, thank you. You're always welcome. I'll see you guys on the next one.